Hey everyone, I've been seeing everybody dump on Madam Web and everyone associated with it. Yes, even I wrote a negative review about the film, but the problem is so much bigger than Madam Web. This film is just the latest symbol of the problem in Hollywood, but it isn't the root cause, and yet it's being treated like it is the problem, and it's not. So let's dissect the problem, which has absolutely nothing to do with the actors, the fans, or ironically enough, Chris Stuckman. I honestly, I'm still not sure why people are tossing Chris under the bus for wanting to address the problem rather than the film. I mean, I get it. He's a critic and he should be doing a movie review if he's going to be doing a movie review. But I mean, will another negative movie review really carry any weight right now? It's just going to get lost in the mass of everything. So, no, you know what? So people's response to Chris is just, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Why do people care? Reviewers aren't required to review everything they see. I don't have time to waste on crappy movies. It's either good enough or interesting enough in some way to spend my time on, or it's not. I reviewed Madam Web because it had so much wasted potential. And that made me angry enough to spend time on it because I knew as a female critic of a female superhero movie that, I mean, they just really put that movie right in the firing line. If you're going to do it well. Otherwise, don't waste your time because it's just going to make female superhero movies look bad. And I don't want to have to sit here and defend that. So, anyways, you can check out my review of Madam Web if you want to see what I thought of the film, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. This video is about the larger problem that we are facing with cinematic storytelling, and Madam Web is merely the latest donkey getting pinned to the board. There are a lot of other donkeys, though, and here are just a few of them. Catwoman from 2004 with Halle Berry. I mean, whew, that one was rough. Supergirl, dating back to 1984, was way cringy, way cringy. Fantastic Four from 2015 was literally so boring that I can't even remember who was in it. And wasn't there another Fantastic Four before that? I think I forgot about that one too. I mean, honestly, they should just stop making those films until they figure out how to get them right. And how did Jared Leto and Matt Smith sign up for that train wreck called Morbius? Jesus. And I forgot Spawn existed too. You know, when I was going through a list of old movies that I was like, nope, 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 nope. I was like, my God, there were a lot of bad ones. And why? Why was that 21 or 2021 film Thunder Force? Why was that film even made? That was just not good. And uh, Green Lantern from 2011 was just not very good. Sorry, Ryan Reynolds. I love you dearly. You were amazing. You're one of my favorites. That film was just not good. Glad you got onto something else that I love a lot more. Anyways, and then there are these newer superhero films that feel like studios think fans are really like ATM machines that are happy to shoot out $20 bills for bad films like Thor, Love and Thunder, or Shazam, Future of the Gods, or Black Adam, or Dark Phoenix, The Flash, Wonder Woman 1984. Seriously, I could just keep going. Some of these films were not great. Some of them were just bad. Some of them had some good highlights. But honestly, The list is just too painful to keep going. There is a strong history of bad superhero movies. This doesn't mean that all superhero films are bad or that the genre is dying or Marvel is broken or Disney is finished or DC is imploding. None of these things are true. But all those studios need to remember how to tell a good story. Otherwise, they're just throwing their cash away and writing off those films as expenses, and taxpayers end up paying for it. And I don't really like paying for people's mistakes. Anyways, it's also not the actor's fault. In most cases, all of those actors in those films are pretty good at what they do. They know how to portray a compelling character. They've got lots of good examples of great jobs. And it's also, let me like underscore this with a big fat marker. It is also not the fans' fault. Where the heck did that idea come from? The fans have zero fault in a movie that fails at the box office. If a movie is good, or even okay. I mean, let's face it, if it's just okay, fans will pay. We'll pay. We'll go to the movie. We'll see it. We'll enjoy it to an extent. If it's great, we're going to watch it multiple times. However, just because we love superheroes doesn't mean we are required to love every film that comes out, even if they're bad. We are not garbage cans. We are not hungry for every piece of super crap that comes out from theaters. And it's time that studios remember that. Also, just because we like superhero movies doesn't mean we have to lower our standards or that we have lower standards. We know what makes a good film, a compelling character, and a believable story. If a studio churns out too many films in a cookie cutter, rinse, wash, and repeat fashion without properly editing the story, fans are going to let you know. We're not shy. Think about it. You can't create a fan base that embraces content, that values heroism, honesty, goodness, and sacrifice. Yeah, with lots of cool action. And then expect us to sit back and just lap up sour milk like it's top shelf liqueur. We are not stupid, and we're not just going to go with it. So when we see a film like Madam Webb one week and Dune the next week, I can't help but to make comparisons. In both cases, the actors know their craft and they do it well. In both cases, the characters are engaging and compelling to different degrees. In addition, the casts for both movies are diverse actors with varied backgrounds, genders, and religions. Also, in both films, they include origin stories for their heroes, which, yeah, it's a standard story plot. It works. It doesn't mean that it didn't work because it was in Madam Web, and it did work because it was in Dune. There is nothing here that separates these two films, which tells me that the problem is not a woke Hollywood issue, nor is it a fan issue. Here's where the two films diverge. And it's a writing problem, it's a directing problem, and it's a studio production problem. Dune presents logical conflicts and logical responses. The choices made by the characters are true to who they are. We see the story threads that are pushing and pulling them through the film. As a result, we can't imagine them doing anything differently. Moreover, we aren't struck by moments that pop us out of the story as we think, well, why did they do that? Or that would never work. The key issue is that Dune delivered on the promise and expectations that the studio fed to fans in the marketing. Their story delivered on that promise. However, with Madam Web and some of these other ones, we are on the receiving end of a barrage of bad character choices that were not additive to the story or to the characters. Instead, The only purpose was to get us from one scene to the next in a way that just didn't feel natural or realistic. Madam Webb also took every opportunity to embrace product placements in such obvious ways. Two super easy examples, and there were more, but these two really big ones just stand out. Calvin Klein is a key example with the ambulance smashing through the billboard in one scene, and one of the girls wearing CK underwear with the underwear band kind of sticking out in a like massively kind of uncomfortable but obvious way so that you can see the logo. And then there is the big battle under the Pepsi sign. I understand that commercials are important. They need that extra money, but you don't make your film look like a commercial. Worse, the studio failed to deliver on the promise of Madam Webb's story. In the marketing, there is an implicit promise that we will see these women as superheroes. We don't get that at all, other than as a vision that the villain sees at one point in the story. And by the end of the film, there is no, like zero, clear path toward that origin story for them. Personally, I think that's why Sony failed with Madam Web. I mean, the promise that was made was a big deal, and it was something that fans were really looking forward to. And the film that we got didn't touch on that at all. I mean, the posters did, but the film did not. And that is a real problem. That's breaking your promise to your audience and leaving them wondering as they're walking out the studio, where were the superheroes? You know, where was that? These problems are not unique to Madam Web, though. They keep happening with different studios, different writers, and different directors. I know that there is turnover in every profession, but when you have hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, you have to have experienced story doctors and experienced production doctors who can keep these issues from cropping up before the film begins filming. Because once they go into production like that and it hits theaters, you know, it's too late. Fans are not obliged to like what studios make, and we are not obliged to give you our dollars. And when you write off your mistakes as kind of tax breaks, you're making us pay for them anyway. And you know what? We are going to hold you accountable in the only way we can, and that's through reviews. It's through audience response. That is the only tool we have to tell you that you need to get your stories straight. This is getting long, but before I end, I feel like it has to be said that there are some people who are criticizing the male critics for bashing a film about female superheroes. This isn't a critic problem. This is a story and studio problem. Don't blame the guys for criticizing Madam Web. A poorly made film is a poorly made film, period. Critics can't make a bad movie good. And really, they can't make a good movie bad either, because the audience will still go see it and pay their money. And the final word on the film, whether it's good or bad, will be in the box office. And that, hopefully, is my final word on Madam Web. I hope to never have to speak about this film again. And guys, give Chris Stuckman a break, man. There's nothing wrong with wanting to talk about the problems that studios are creating for us. We are all frustrated right now about some of the recent films that have come out. And our criticism is part of that commentary process. It's part of that dialogue that critics, fans, and creators are supposed to have with each other in spaces like this. So let the guy talk, whatever. He can say whatever he wants. Anybody can. thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. I know I've rambled on a little bit here, and I don't know, I usually don't get like this passionate about things, but I am just tired of bad films, just tired of it. And it's not hard to make a good story. All right, everybody, feel free to like give me a thumbs up, hopefully. Hope some of you do. Anyways, if you like this review, and also be sure to subscribe because I will have more awesome reviews coming. There are some great movies coming out soon that I'm really, really, really looking forward to. And there's some good stuff on streaming that I am digging into, and I'm having so much fun. So I can't wait to talk about those too. All right, everybody. I will let you go here, and I hope you guys have a great time watching whatever it is you're watching. Hey, I know, go see Dune. That's a great movie, probably the best one of the year. All right, everybody, I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.